White Sox podcast, presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook. Download the app today and use promo code CHGO when you sign up. Welcome into Studio A of our CHGO offices here in the West Loop of Chicago. I'm Sean Anderson, the host of the CHGO White Sox podcast. You can follow me on Twitter at Sean_W_Anderson. And alongside me, as always, is Vinnie Duber, back from Australia. You can follow him on Twitter at all right, now it's kind of old. All right, at Vinnie Duber. You can follow him there.
At least, run it through the end of this week and then retire it.
But we could try it with like the guests for next week.
No.
They might find it. No. CHGO beat writer, White Sox beat writer, in a new piece at allchgo.com. That's Herb Lawrence.
Hello.
You can follow him on Twitter at Ecknerwall23. He's our CHGO White Sox community leader. And today we are going to be talking basically about Vinnie's piece and the subject of it, because Carlos Correa, as you obviously knew from our last show, is a New York Met.
Very strange. Very strange doings in baseball. Hey, people keep wanting baseball to be more like the NBA. This is the kind of weird stuff that happens in the NBA. So there you go, baseball fans. You got what you wanted.
At 1:30 a.m., as I was winding down my night, just ready to close my eyes and start dreaming about Andrew Benintendi in left field, John Heyman pops up with a tweet saying Carlos Correa signs with the Mets for 12 years and $315 million. Absurd. We thought yesterday was bizarre with the Giants canceling the press conference right before it was about to happen with just one line saying the press conference has been postponed. It's never going to happen. They made weeks and weeks of photoshops of Carlos Correa in San Francisco Giants uniforms, and it's not going to happen. What did you guys wake up to this morning? What was your first reaction? Was it a text? Was it a tweet that first broke the news?
Well, Courtney woke up in the middle of the night somehow, and just in passing, I was asleep, and she's like, Carlos Correa to the Mets. I was like, what? That doesn't make sense. I'm like, am I dreaming? It's like, what? And also, why are you talking to me? I'm asleep, type of thing. And then I woke up, like, oh, man, Courtney wasn't bullshitting. It was real. The Mets are assassins. Steve Cohen is ridiculous. And I don't know who to blame for this. I've read a couple pieces, but, man, how about Scott Boras and Carlos Correa with the cojones to say, you know what? Cool, you're gonna check me on medical things? You're getting cold feet? Smooth. We got a team that's got you. I'm surprised the Minnesota Twins didn't get into the sweepstakes after seeing the whole press conference being canceled. If I was the Minnesota Twins GM, I'd be like, hey, man, that 10 for 280 is still good for you, Cat. Or if you want to raise up, we'll raise up, because you're on our team for the next 10 years is market value. It's great for us. This past year wasn't awesome, but you're a superstar. You're 28 years old. And so the Mets being the Mets, having that ridiculous payroll, golly, God bless Steve Cohen. God bless everybody on that Mets squad, and the fans are got to go through the roof right now. I wish I was a Mets fan, but I cannot go there because they're jerks.
It's weird, man. Middle of the night, Steve Cohen's just out in Hawaii drinking martinis. Scott Boras apparently never turns off the pun machine. No. I thought that was strictly for the GM meetings and the winter meetings. Like, those are like material that he builds up throughout an entire year. And it's like, all right, it's the offseason, and I get to talk to this ridiculous gaggle of media members now, and I'm going to unleash all these puns that I've been saving up for 12 months. No, he's just apparently just rattling it off at 3 a.m. texts to Steve Cohen. 3 martinis for a 3B. Ooh, boy.
Hey.
Ooh, boy.
Olives are gross.
Boris.
And I like, my girlfriend has gotten into drinking martinis. I don't understand.
I thought you were just going to say she's gotten into olives.
Well, I mean,
just
in a way,
olives.
if she's drinking martinis, she's drinking olive juice. Like, I don't know. Like,
They are
nasty.
pretty gross to me.
I don't know.
Well,
Unless
who
they're
knows?
on a pizza.
We don't even know.
I like olives and pizza.
We don't even know if Steve Cohen was actually having olives, but just Scott Boras with... Maybe he's got like a team that works around the clock.
I think so.
Pun team.
Well, have you ever checked out any of these?
Part of Boris Corp. Pun team.
You ever check out BorisCorp.com and the contact page?
Is it all puns?
No, it's just a lot of people. So, like, there's definitely someone on staff that's like, all right, here's what we got. Like, he probably gets, like, a daily write-up of, like, all the puns he could use. Here are some of the best ones we haven't used.
Sure.
Here are some of the good ones to recycle.
Right.
And then, that one might have even been off the cuff. I mean, I'm not sure how Boris's mind works.
But it's just wild. I mean, the Mets have become what, Herb, when we were younger, the Yankees were, right?
Mm-hmm.
And certainly in the I'm thinking of the like immediate post dynasty Yankees when they're going out and just getting Jason Giambi and Randy Johnson, and it's like, all right,
A-Rod.
whoever you got, just come on down to the Bronx. We're going to give you as much money as you could possibly ask for, and that's what the Mets are doing. And of course, the Mets have an owner who comes from a different world, right? He's not from the baseball world; he's from the financial world where everybody's got that much money, but you come into a baseball team and all of a sudden he is just wreaking havoc on this league because he is spending finance world money on Major League Baseball players.
Well, and he had a quote earlier this week. It was something like, big numbers like this don't scare me. Like this is an everyday thing. So he's like, you know what? This tax is nothing. I will pay. My tax alone will be more than the Pittsburgh Pirates salary and franchise.
$111 million in luxury tax is what's projected right now.
I mean, and I tweeted this out, and I didn't mean this like in a slanderous way. It's just something to marvel at. The White Sox franchise record deal, 5 years, $75 million, is the 5th most expensive deal they signed this offseason. That's Kodai Senga at 5 years, $75 million. Edwin Diaz got $102 million. Justin Verlander got $86. Brandon Nimmo got $182 or $162. And then Carlos Correa getting $315. Salary
bonkers.
cap has been turned off.
We
and
can
we're just
see why
spending all the money.
that Jerry Reinsdorf necessarily voted against the inclusion of Steve Cohen to the ranks of owners. He is the richest owner by far in Major League Baseball, and he's acting as such. And I don't know if it's good or bad. If I'm a fan of the Mets, I could not be happier. I don't know if it's good or bad for the sport, because now other teams will try to be like the Mets. We'll try to get in that atmosphere. But he is way past anybody in personal wealth and doesn't care how much the team that he owns spends on these contracts. And he's just going to be, I don't know if it's going to move like the White Sox, the Cubs, the Giants, and other teams towards him, or they're going to make those teams, hey, we can't compete with that. Let's do the Tampa Bay Rays thing where we're not spending a lot of money. We're working more on player development, which is cheaper for us. And then if they get too expensive, we can ship them out and maybe compete for every year. I think might be good, but also it's a double-edged sword. Be careful what you ask for. And I've been asking for owners to spend all this money all the time, but people don't have Steve Cohen money. And it's going to be tough to compete with almost $500 million of salary.
For 1 year.
Exactly.
For 1 year of a team. And guess what? Are the Mets going to win the division?
Yes, right.
No one can tell me they will or they won't. I mean, that's the thing. It's like, listen, we've been talking about the arms race all off season long, right? This is the biggest arms race you've ever seen between 3 teams in the one division. Mm-hmm. Only one of those teams is going to win the NL East.
Well,
and it might not be the team that's spending $500 million on players this year.
And the team that won the World Series 2 years ago, not very, very, past history, like just 2 years ago, is probably the 3rd favorite in that division.
Well, I don't know.
Right?
They've gone a different route, right? They've given all that money to the guys that were in their farm system,
right.
With the exception of a guy like Matt Olson or Sean Murphy who they've brought in. A lot of they've handed out eye-popping contracts in terms of giving it to the guys that you just called up from the minor leagues. And I mean, I think we've compared it to what the White Sox did. When the White Sox did it, it seemed like, they're setting the trend for baseball now with Eloy and Luis Robert and Moncada getting those contract extensions. The Braves have blown them out of the water in terms of doing that. We'll see if it works for them any better than it has or will for the White Sox, because they've done it on such a larger scale with so many, such a higher number of players.
The Mets didn't even win the division this year. The Braves did, didn't they? Yeah, then the Mets got caught up by the Braves, and the Mets won like 100 games.
And the Phillies, neither of those two teams won the pennant.
Exactly. So it's like...
Yeah, they both finished 101 and 61.
I guess Steve Cohen's like, hey, man, I will not leave any stone left unturned. I'm getting everybody. Well, every single body. Because it's like the New York Yankees thing when they had Jeter and then they got A-Rod and like, hey, Jeter's here already. He's the shortstop, man. Sorry, you got to go to third base. And it's an embarrassment of riches. Look at that infield just alone. Like,
2 all-star appearances at least for every player on that infield.
That's ridiculous.
Their starting lineup, Brandon Nimmo starting in center field, Carlos Correa batting second at third base, Francisco Lindor batting third at shortstop, batting fourth at first base, Pete Alonso, batting fifth, Jeff McNeil at second base, batting sixth, Starling Marte in right field,
about him.
who, I mean, White Sox fans 2 years ago were ready for him to bat 2 in their lineup.
Damn sure.
Dan Vogelbach / Darren Ruff, the crazy, platoon right there for DH. Then Mark Canha in left field and Omar Narvaez at catcher.
The Narv dog.
I mean, they spent money on him too, and then David Robertson in the bullpen.
Well, as well as Adam Ottavino. Then you got to remember that you have yet to talk about their pitching staff. Mm-hmm. The top 2 of which are first ballot Hall of Famers, Justin Verlander and Max Scherzer. And then to cap this off with a nice little cherry on top, guess who the number 1 prospect in baseball is?
Francisco Alvarez, Mets catcher.
Mets catcher.
Wow.
There you go.
And they still have Kodai Sendai.
Yes. So
they brought over from Japan, who's their third starter.
Jose Quintana is like their 4th or 5th starter.
Well, that's where like things might go wrong is the rotation, because you look at the rotation and it's like, yes, Justin Verlander very good, Max Scherzer very good, Kodai Senga could be very, very good. Carlos Carrasco has been pretty reliable. Jose Quintana, they just signed for $20+ million. 39, 38, 29, 35, 33. So it's not a given that there's going to be health in that rotation, but what Steve Cohen wants is fans to support the team and to come out, and I have no reason to believe or doubt that Mets fans are just going to be packing Citi Field. I mean, that place is going to be so loud on opening day with this payroll. I mean, how could you not be excited about the Mets if you're in Flushing or in New York right now?
It's a weird time. Like, you get the Yankee press conference tonight or today introducing the 16th captain of that franchise's history and the biggest free agent of the offseason, Aaron Judge. And that shit is usurped by the Mets, the team on the other side, the little brother on the other side getting usurped.
It's A-Rod. Guys, we were talking about New York. God. It's A-Rod. A-Rod's in the building, guys. Okay. Jerry Reinsdorf's a friend. He looks at Jerry Reinsdorf as a rabbi.
He loves Roger Bozard and his
Bozard.
Yeah, that's what he calls him.
Yeah.
He's a weirdo.
Man with the golden rake. He is a weirdo. Final things that we want to bring up, because you just brought this up to me. Just in the Correa whole thing. First off, you brought up the Jeter A-Rod thing comparison. I like to be slanderous to Derek Jeter, and I said, it's Jeter and A-Rod, but if they were good, or if they were both were good, just one of them was good. That's such a crazy move for him to go to third base, because we've seen Yoan thrive moving off a middle infield spot to a corner spot. Like, that type of athlete, his explosive nature, like him being able to just worry about one side and running to one side and attacking balls on that side with his arm, like, he's going to be a monster at third base. I think he might be the best defensive third baseman in 2023, just because.
And he's never played there before.
Right. I mean, he is absurd.
I mean, everybody knows that, every White Sox fan that watched that 2021 playoff series knows how good a defender Carlos Correa is at shortstop. Mm-hmm. It's kind of crazy to think that he would be going somewhere and not playing shortstop. I mean, Francisco Lindor's pretty good too.
Yeah, pretty good.
But man, to have both those guys on the same side of the infield. I mean, listen, it wasn't long ago that everybody was like, oh my God, Tatis and Machado on the same side of the infield?
And they have Bogarts now too with those.
None of them are playing shortstop. Yeah.
Yeah.
And still, like, that three is not even that three is just overshadowed. And Mookie Betts and Freddie Freeman play together in Los Angeles. Nope. Carlos Correa, Francisco Lindor.
What did I say?
Justin Verlander, Max Scherzer.
It's becoming the NBA.
Yeah,
it is.
It's awesome. No, I'm all for it. Some final things that I just wanted to share.
The Sacramento Kings?
Who?
The White Sox, the Sacramento Kings of the MLB?
They have to be the Pirates.
The Pirates, the Sacramento Kings? All right. I wonder which team the White Sox are. Maybe just straight the Bulls, because the Bulls are terrible too.
Yeah, but the Sox never had the
championships.
Jordan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well,
and I was thinking Heat, but they had LeBron.
They had a Jordan-esque type player with offensively. Frank Thomas.
Yeah, I don't know. We'll have to figure that out. Maybe one day we'll do that. Is what NBA team is every MLB team?
I'm going to have to remember. I'm going to have to figure out at what state all the teams in the NBA are at.
So sometimes they help.
Do the Grizzlies still play in Vancouver?
No. They play in Memphis. And do you know where Memphis is?
Do I know where Memphis is? Yes.
All right, so you figured out where that state is. Charlotte.
How are the Bobcats doing these days?
They're the Hornets now. So I just want to go through a timeline with this Correa stuff. from John Heyman in the morning. We need one more hitter is what Steve Cohen told him at 3 a.m. Of course, yeah, that's just exactly what that 101 team win team needed was another hitter. And then Susan Slusser, a little bit more about the actual press conference. Scott Boras told her that after the Giants canceled their press conference yesterday, they indicated they still wanted to negotiate about Correa, but he didn't hear anything more from them. 12 hours later, the Mets deal got worked out. And it sounds as if there was an old Correa injury pre-MLB that was raised as a potential issue. It has not cropped up again. None of Correa's other physical issues have required medical intervention or ongoing treatment. If this was a true medical concern, it sounds a little tenuous. And if it was a matter of cold feet, that's usually ownership, not the front office. So if we have any thoughts here, because it does seem like, again, Tom Verducci reporting that Carlos Correa showed up dressed for the press conference, and they said, hold on, we're not going to do this. I mean, is this ownership not ready to commit $350, or is there something that or do you believe the medical side of this?
No, I mean, he's been with the Houston Astros organization since he was a teenager. And if it was pre-MLB, they knew about it. They were fine with it. You saw the results. And the Minnesota Twins probably had the same medical report that the San Francisco Giants just saw, and they were cool with it. They gave him $35 million. So it had to be cold feet. It had to be something where 13 years, man, $350. And we really don't have anything else here. I mean, Joey Bart is supposed to be the next coming. He's not yet. We didn't get Aaron Judge, so that's going to be falling flat. Getting Mitch Haniger, good. Getting Jock Peterson, good. But our team, is it going to be competing with the San Francisco, with the LA Dodgers or the San Diego Padres? Probably not. So maybe they're like, $350, and that little medical thing, that might be a little too much timber for us to carry. And they wanted to pause and do a renegotiation. And as I said yesterday, there are a bunch of teams, specifically in the Mets, that would like, cool, he's got that, awesome, here's a deal, done. And they did it that quickly. It was great to see that they hopped on it, and that San Francisco, while they got cold feet, are now like the embarrassment of MLB right now. Like, this is very embarrassing for that whole franchise moving forward. Like, the general manager's getting a lot of heat. They want to fire Farhan. I'm like, don't fire him. He's not the one that didn't want that deal. I'm sure he wanted that deal. And it's the ownership group out there with the Giants that were like, yeah, probably the juice is not worth the squeeze, which I question firstly, because a 28-year-old superstar like that can bring other talent there and can lift your team up to levels that your team wasn't at before. And there were 107 wins like 2 years ago, so they can get back there quickly.
If you want to, ruin your ability to sign more free agents, I mean, this is how you do it. I mean, I don't understand the walking back of this. I did have the Correa, the Scott Boras quote where it was Steve Cohen was in Hawaii. I was up late in San Francisco negotiating with a number of teams. Others went to bed. Steve was having dinner and a martini. I asked if he had 3 olives for a great third baseman. It's just rough right there. And you bring up Farhan. While we are prohibited from disclosing, and this is the quote, while we are prohibited from disclosing confidential medical information, as Scott Boras stated publicly, there was a difference of opinion over the results of Carlos' physical examination. We wish Carlos the best. If Rick Hahn almost signed Carlos Correa and he said we wish Carlos the best after missing out on signing him, and there was social media posts, I'd be calling for his firing as well. Of course, I understand that from San Francisco Giant fans, but the craziest story easily in my life, and there was a cover of the New York Post just about, what was this, October 25th, and you could see all the players that are on here. Aaron Judge, you see Justin Verlander, Edwin Diaz, and Carlos Correa. So the Yankees, all of these players photoshopped in Yankees uniforms, all 3 of those 4 players are now Mets. So the New York Post got that completely wrong.
You know what I actually feel sorry for? Parents, fiancés, girlfriends, boyfriends who bought gifts of Carlos Correa jerseys for their significant others for the holidays coming up. And you open up your Hanukkah gift, you open up your Christmas gift, you're like, oh, man, son of a bitch. This garbage-ass #1 Correa jersey. It could be a nice collector's item. I mean, you could probably sell it on eBay for a couple dollars. But, man, how about the disappointment of San Francisco fans yesterday thinking there was going to be a press conference announcing their mans and then going to sleep or just probably as staying up because it was late night in San Francisco and seeing that across the country, he's signing somewhere else. Like, oh man, Jesus, that is just heartbreaking.
This is why the NBA has the jersey assurance.
Yes, I remember that.
No, not the jersey shirts.
No,
the jersey assurance.
Oh, assurance.
So if you buy a jersey, I think you have to use an American Express or something like that.
American Express, yes.
And the player goes to another team, you can trade it in.
Oh, nice. I mean, well, I think Bob McNair, the owner of the Texans, obviously with their
anymore.
Superstar. He's not?
He's currently not with us.
Oh, then maybe Cal was doing it.
I mean, Bob is dead.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Well,
yes.
Sky points to Bob. Mm-hmm. Is it Cal McNair then?
I mean, it might have been Bob McNair at the time, but
no, it was just recently. Okay. So Cal McNair. I just was mixing up my McNairs.
Okay.
So when Deshaun Watson left, they bought back all of the if you brought in your uniform, you could get a new player. And that was just recently. I think it was like any player drafted from like 2017 to 2022 or whatever. And if they were on the team, you could swap it back or something like that. So I'm all for that. Like I'm all for but also we talked about a little bit about uncouth statues. Like, are we gonna make a Farhan and Carlos Correa holding up the Jersey statue and put it out outside Oracle Park? Like, we gotta put this moment in history.
And another good thing about this, we're gonna bring teams together. Dodgers and now Giants have a common enemy, Carlos Correa.
Yes,
I can look at him and it's like we both hate them.
It's and you brought up the Twins too. I don't know if the Twins will hate him, but they offered 10-285. Mets end up offering 12-315. It's only a $30 million difference in there. So if the Twins offered one more year of $30 million, wouldn't they have gotten
$5 million of a $280 million deal from their original one? Here, sweeten that pot. Here's $5 more million.
They gave him $290.
Get out of here. Get out of here, scamp. I don't know why they're just ask him what he wants. Ask Scott Boras, what do you want?
300. That
done.
seems like the number.
Why are we talking anymore? Deal's done. That guy on Minnesota would have ramifications for the rest of the AL Central. As I think somebody put, my guy Matt Zawaski, they have spent more than the AL Central in like the collective this offseason for many years of AL Central offseason spending. Imagine if he was in this division. He would battle versus Jose Ramirez being the best player in the division. And that, having Byron Buxton back there and maybe healthy, that Minnesota Twins team might take off. But I don't know why they're playing cheap, why they're saying 285. What the hell?
Right.
Just offer him a lot of money.
Just go for it.
He just had a 13 for 350. Just kind of come close to that.
Yeah, right. We learned that with the White Sox and Machado. Just offer 300. If they're asking for 300,
if you really want them,
offer it to them. Yeah, right. If you really want them. I think that was the last of it. We can move on. There was one more thing. I was looking up most shocking. I was trying to see if there was anything else like this. If there was any other moments in MLB history like this where maybe someone signed and then ended up switching. I famously thinking of the NBA, DeAndre Jordan.
Being locked in Mark Cuban's house or whatever it was.
Being locked in his house by his Clipper teammates. There's nothing like that, but it was funny to see in 1996, 1997, in that offseason, Albert Bell signs with White Sox. Mm-hmm. And the write-up, White Sox owner Jerry Reinsdorf flexed his financial muscles by inking Bell to a record 5-year, $55 million contract. Now, obviously, Albert Bell didn't fulfill that contract, or he had an opt-out, and he never saw the end of that 5-year deal. But still, just funny, 25 years ago or 26 years ago, before I was born, Jerry was flexing his muscle on a deal that is only $20 million less than the franchise record that was just inked this offseason.
I think Sean meant that sentence to be a shot at Jerry Reinsdorf, but it ended up being a shot at us.
Yes,
because he reminded us that he wasn't alive.
Yeah. I'm sorry, guys.
It was a big deal because most blame Jerry Reinsdorf for the lockout/strike that happened in 94 through 95, and for him to come out of that for the most part and blow away everybody else and sign Albert Bell. We weren't expecting it as White Sox fans. When he inked that deal, we were like, yeah, Albert Bell was still in his prime. In the 2 years he had here as a White Sox offensively, one of the best players of White Sox history for a 2 years period. He crushed, and that's why he got out of his deal, because he hit in certain parameters for his to get out. I think he still holds the record for most home runs in a single season for a White Sox. So, that was a big-time deal. And from Jerry Reinsdorf, it was shocking because he was crying poor before the strike happened, and then he comes out of the strike. He's like, here we go, signing big-time deal for Albert Pujols. Now you got Albert Bell and Frank Thomas in the same lineup. Man, those two teams did not do anything, though, because I think Robin Ventura got hurt. Frank was oft hurt, so it was a very sad time that the 2 years that Albert Bell was here. Then he went to Baltimore and got a degenerative hip.
And he just got it?
Huh?
He just got it?
Yeah. And he had to retire, and he was kind of a dick his whole career, his whole life after that. I think he went to jail.
All because of the hip? Oh,
yeah.
Man. Yeah, no, he did go to jail. He has a really bad
he's a terrible person.
He's got an awful mugshot. But yeah, is that why, like, you always see, like, on these betting markets, you always see when they're posting futures about Aaron Judge, all the teams they'll sign. You'll see Yankees, 5-1, Mets 8-1, and then like down at like 12-1, 13-1, you'll see the White Sox. Is that just because Jerry has flexed his muscle once before, and people would not be surprised that it could happen again? Like, is that?
I mean, they needed a corner outfielder. I guess you could go about it that way.
Okay.
I mean, if it would be very shocking if ever that happens again. That was his one chance to do it, and then he could probably say, hey, it didn't work out because they didn't win any titles. The Cleveland Indians were really
But he was really
at
good.
that time.
He set
records. He was really good. Yeah, and then most White Sox fans attribute it to him hitting when they're way out of position. Like, he used to kill in the second half of those 2 years, and so that, especially that second year of that second half of that second year, he murdered the ball, and so the White Sox were way behind the Cleveland Indians at that time. And taking him away from the Indians did not help them, not hurt them winning the AL Central.
We'll talk a little bit more about the Mets and the White Sox possibly coming together. We'll probably also mention Jerry Reinsdorf and Steve Cohen, and if those two could get along enough to make a deal. But we're going to first take a break. It is that time of year. Everybody's excited about the gifts, the holiday spirit, but what about the basketball? When I throw down on NBA action, it's got to be with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. New customers can bet just $5 pregame money line on any NBA team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. And hey, my suggestion, bet on a game before the 24th if you are a new customer. Hopefully, whatever team you do bet on pregame money line wins. You get that $150 in free bets if they do. But also, you get a free Christmas Day bet. So if you are looking to watch the NBA and bet on the NBA, DraftKings Sportsbook will offer you a no-sweat bet, or at least it's offering current customers a no-sweat bet on Christmas Day up to $10. And Maryland sports fans, listen up. DraftKings Sportsbook is now live in your state. So download the app now and get in on the holiday hoops action. Sign up with code CHGO. Place a $5 pregame money line on any NBA team to win and get $150 in free bets if they do. Only at DraftKings Sportsbook with code CHGO. Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. And next up, if you are a golfer, Pins and Aces is the official golf apparel partner of CHGO. People at CHGO love their Pins and Aces gear and get tons of compliments on and off the course. Our guy Steven, who's not producing today, always rocks Pins and Aces gear, gets tons of compliments, hitting the links, hasn't hit it in a bit because there's about to be a snowstorm. But, when
they find a way.
They find a way.
Those golfers, they find a way.
At Top Golf, he's probably, getting compliments there. But they are a family-owned golf and apparel business, and they make amazing polos, hats, golf bags, and even our favorite beer sleeve. It's an innovative product that allows you to store 7 beers right inside your golf bag and keep drinks cold the entire round. So check out pinsandaces.com and use code CHGO to receive 15% off your first order and get free shipping. That's pinsandaces.com and use code CHGO to receive 15% off your first order and get free shipping. Got a super chat from our guy Jason. $5 super chat. Appreciate that. Just got here from work. I am still in shock at how quickly the Mets took Correa. Opens up possibilities of Eduardo Escobar and Jeff McNeil. Sorry if you discussed. No, Jason, it's a perfect segue and a great super chat. So thank you, Jason. Really,
there's a reason we've done all this Mets talk. It was to just set up context for the White Sox talk that is coming now.
Exactly. So the White Sox, or the Mets, I liked your line at the end of your article basically saying the Mets will do anything it takes to win. They have
or just anything, period.
Anything. They just signed Edwin Diaz to the largest closer contract in history, $102 million for, I think, 6 or 5 years. Why would they need Liam Hendriks Are the Mets actually a threat to go out and get Liam Hendriks or make a deal with the White Sox in your mind?
I mean, they'll do anything, and so they have a shortstop, and they're like, who cares? We'll have another one. They have a closer who's pretty damn good, and getting Adam Ottavino back, pretty damn good. It doesn't hurt to fortify that bullpen where you're saying the older starting pitchers might run out of gas, might be older, might get an IL. If you have a fortified bullpen back there and a bunch of people that you're not going to be using, Eduardo Escobar is probably not going to see a lot of time on this team. You're not going to see a lot of time from Luis Guillorme. You have a glut of talent, and then those catchers, the Nito and Narvaez, they have this prospect down there eventually will be playing. So they have a lot of prospects and a lot of people who are not going to be playing, and they can get rid of some of that salary. Even Cookie Carrasco, $14 million for him might be a little too expensive for them. I mean, they're fine with it, but any other major league team would love to have Cookie Carrasco in their rotation. So I think they have a strong opportunity to get better if they want Liam Hendriks at the back of their bullpen too. I see Steve Cohen not being objecting to that. It's only $29 million for the next 2 years. He's like,
it's only $29 million.
He's like, I step over that when I go to the shower every day.
That's BAMTech money.
Yeah, whatever. It's out of here. Get out of here.
A few things. I think first of all, you got to remember back to what Rick Hahn said at the winter meetings when the White Sox are listening on Liam Hendriks rumors came out. They're listening. You know what I mean? I mean, that's what their job is. They should be listening. It does not mean at all necessarily that they want to trade Liam Hendriks. The White Sox could very much have no intention of trading him whatsoever and having him be their closer for the next 2 seasons. It's just the one that we've heard, right? It's the one that's filtered out there, maybe because a team, perhaps the Mets, not perhaps, we know they've been reported to have been interested in him, said, oh, yeah, we're trying to get Liam Hendriks. We talked to the White Sox about Liam Hendriks. That's an interesting possible fit kind of thing. I'm sure there's a lot of teams that would like Liam Hendriks. He's very good. None of this means that a trade is going to happen, and I think that people, because we have not also heard, oh, the White Sox are listening on Eloy Jimenez, or Team X is interested in Tim Anderson, everybody is just so wanting a trade to happen regardless that they're like, all right, trade Hendriks, here's what we want, here's the wish list, everything needs to happen. I have said this before, I'll say it again. I think it's silly to trade one of arguably the best closer in baseball when you are trying to win the World Series. If the White Sox trade Liam Hendriks and if they get a great return that fills that hole at second base, guess what? Then they've got another hole at closer. Kendall Graveman has half a season of Major League closing experience. Reynaldo Lopez has no Major League closing experience to speak of. Saying that the White Sox would be okay at closer if they traded Liam Hendriks is wrong. I guess it's possible, but you have no proof to show that is going to be okay. The White Sox do not have 2 closers. And then on top of it, Herb, you're talking about the depth that the Mets have all of a sudden right now, right? Because they just signed Correa, so there's no place for Eduardo Escobar to play. We're talking about they've got the top prospect in baseball who's a catcher. There's no place for James McCann to play. I don't know why everybody is so obsessed with only acquiring players that have played for the White Sox before, but
that DNA is important.
Prerequisite.
The point being, Liam Hendriks is damn good. You should be getting much more than just guys who can no longer start for the Mets for Liam Hendriks, because you should be getting back plenty. The thing is, when these trades usually happen, it's prospects, and maybe it's going to be this their third base prospect who got a small amount of action last year. He's a top 20 prospect in baseball. You know what I mean? But come on, where is he going? He's never played second base before.
Yeah,
you're gonna move Moncada back to a position that he made a ton of errors at, and you're gonna get rid of your all-star closer just to have a guy who might be good at third base. You need to match up here, and I don't know if the Mets want to trade Jeff McNeil. Also, I don't know if Liam Hendriks for Jeff McNeil is really anything but a lateral move for the White Sox, because then they don't have a closer.
You're right about that, but obviously, we don't know if a deal would work out, but we do have baseball trade values.
Which is broken. We've established it's broken. It's very
Vinny,
broken.
Just
tell me what Romy Gonzalez's trade value is right now.
Romy Gonzalez isn't even in this deal. All right.
All right.
So,
here we go.
And here's the thing: no prospects, right? No Brett Beatty. You don't have to worry about that. The White Sox would get Carlos Carrasco.
Okay, Cookie, good.
James McCann. You need that DNA. And Jeff McNeil. You brought up Jeff McNeil.
I did bring up Jeff McNeil, who didn't even hit 10 home runs last year, by the way.
All right.
So you'd have to feel the exact same way about a Jeff McNeil acquisition as you do about the Andrew Benintendi acquisition.
It's fair.
Who are they giving up?
This is why I don't care.
We haven't heard this yet.
This is why I don't care about the trade. Mets get Liam Hendriks.
Ugh.
So sad. And Leury Garcia, baby. Let's go.
Yeah,
So yeah,
Baseball
MLB trade
point.
values needs to do some maintenance.
Mets value 1.5, White Sox value 0.7. So the White Sox are losing this trade. I am just trying to be fair.
yeah.
Wait, it's only 1.7.
Yeah,
They're two-time All-Star closers, only worth 1.7.
Well, Leury is worth not that much. Leury's worth minus 10.
Knocks him down. But
So, yeah.
why would they?
Garrett Crochet is worth more than Liam Hendriks.
And this was the
That's
thing where
wrong.
the Leury Garcia thing was going on the other day. I was like, who is checking for Leury Garcia and his $5 million salary? That seems ridiculous. No one wants Leury Garcia. We're the only team that wants him. He's not going anywhere. I would love for him to not be a White Sox, but that man's going to be here until he retires. We're going to have a retirement ceremony. His jersey's going to be in the rafters. Book it. 28. Yep.
Number 28. No one else can wear it ever again.
He's going to be on the Hall of Fame ballot, Lawrence. You do not know this? He's played 10 years in the major leagues, so he will be on the ballot.
I guarantee somebody.
When I'm tweeting out bust for Burley in 10 years, he'll be on the ballot. In Mark Burley's final year, Leury Garcia will be in his first. And Alex says the site has a 95% hit rate on trades back to 2019. Problem is that people use it for unrealistic situations. I don't see what's unrealistic. I mean, Jerry Reinsdorf was the one owner to vote against Steve Cohen becoming an owner. I don't know if those two would even like to do business, let alone, figuring out a trade and all these details and whether it would be a prospect or whether it would be Jeff McNeil or Luis Guillerme or, James McCann reunion tour. Like, I don't know. Like, we've seen owners be weird and apparently back out of the Carlos Correa deal in San Francisco. Would Jerry Reinsdorf or Steve Cohen be weird enough not to do a deal?
Also fun, just a quick interjection for anybody who thinks that James McCann should come back to the White Sox. Guess how much money he's owed over the last 2 years of his contract?
$26 million.
$24 million. He had an OPS plus in the first 2 years of his contract of 70.
Ooh.
I think it's better than Leury still.
I mean, that
They play
wouldn't
different
be
positions.
surprising, but yeah.
I don't think Jerry holds a grudge after, he tried to keep him out.
Yeah.
And once that wasn't successful, he realized his power isn't as it used to be. And now he's like, let me work with the guy. I think he wouldn't be like that petulant? There it is. To say, I'm not going to work with this guy because I don't like him being an owner. No, he's in the league and he's the owner right now. Might as well. You got to go through and kiss the ring, Jerry. Come on now. If there is
He doesn't have a ring yet.
If there is necessarily a move that the White Sox need to make, and it's with the Mets, and like Vinny, I don't want to trade Liam Hendriks, and I don't think the Mets are a good fit because of them having the highest paid closer in the game.
Yeah.
So maybe not the Mets, but if there's another team available and the White Sox can get better by trading to a different team, I'm all for it. But Liam would be the guy. I'm like, let's hold on to him. Maybe Joe Kelly, maybe Kendall Graveman. If they want closers. And we're so goddamn happy and so confident that Kendall Graveman can be a closer. Why wouldn't some other team be like, this Kendall Graveman can be a closer and trade him to that other team and get acquisitions that way instead of trading your best player and then getting back scraps?
I feel like they only have one spot left in their bullpen. Looking at the projected bullpen on Fangraphs, they acquired Eliezer Hernandez from Miami in a trade this November.
Okay.
They have John Curtis, who they signed as a free agent from Milwaukee early this April. David Peterson, who is a starter, not a starter for them, can be long relief. He's a lefty. Drew Smith, he was acquired in a trade with Tampa back in 2017. He was about the 100th reliever 110th reliever last year, according to their power rankings. Then Brooks Raley, they just acquired him from a trade with the Rays. David Robertson, they just inked him to a 10-year deal.
I was about to say, that's a little much.
$10 million deal. Adam Ottavino, they re-upped him. They re-upped him. And then they just re-upped Edwin Diaz. So, I mean, it feels like there's one spot for them. So maybe Graveman, maybe Kelly. It doesn't have to be Liam.
Well, and here's the thing, too. So David Barista, who I love your work as Drax in the Guardians of the Galaxy movies. You're talking about you can find guys to replace Liam Hendriks, right? But here's the thing: look at it from the other side. If you're the Mets, so if you're the White Sox, you basically have to get Jeff McNeil, right? This collection of Mets bench players is not worth trading away your all-star closer. If you're the Mets, are you trading away your all-star second baseman who plays every single day for a setup guy?
Right.
You know what I mean? Are you trading, if you're put it in White Sox terms, are you going to trade Tim Anderson, your all-star middle infielder, your all-star shortstop, for another Kendall Graveman or another Joe Kelly? Like, if I told you that as White Sox fans, you'd all laugh, right? Mm-hmm. This is what the Mets would be doing in that trade. And so if the Mets aren't going to trade McNeil and the White Sox shouldn't trade Hendriks, well, then nothing's coming together on that front.
But Eduardo Escobar for Joe Kelly?
I would do that just because it fills a need for the White Sox.
Do the Mets do that? I mean, I guess they'd be paying Eduardo Escobar to do nothing, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
I think they would
don't
more
know
go
if
with the lefty because you were talking about all those people they have. It didn't seem like they had a lot of lefties. I heard like 2 in there.
Guillorme's a lefty.
Lefty or reliever. Sorry, for the
Brooks Raley and Peterson.
Yeah, so getting Garrett Crochet, getting people like that, you could give him Diekman.
So
get off my team.
Yeah.
Take Diekman.
Well, hey, he'll pay him.
Garrett Crochet.
I put Crochet for McNeil. It doesn't.
Yes,
I don't think it makes any sense. But
yes.
I don't think they do it.
Yeah, why would the Mets do that? The Mets want to win the World Series. They should keep their all-stars.
Lefty.
He's not elite.
I mean, maybe
he's coming off Tommy John.
Projects to be elite lefty with a fastball and a slider. Yeah.
Ugh.
Middle reliever for your all-star second baseman. Come on, Herb.
Doesn't make sense.
Hey, I'll take him.
Yeah, I'd take him too. Let's move into a break, and then we'll wrap up this discussion.
Somebody look up baseball trade values and see if that works.
No, because Crochet's 13, and then McNeil's 22. So there's about probably a Brian Ramos gap in there.
I'm not too far away from that.
Okay.
I would. The simple solution is just pay a second baseman, but that's not happening.
Well, there's only Gene Segura out there. Is that the solution?
I would take that over everything.
I would take that too. We're gonna take a quick break. Got to let you know about DraftKings Sportsbook and the pick of the week tonight in the RL Carrier Bowl in New Orleans, or the RL Carrier New Orleans Bowl.
I think it's the R&L Carriers.
R&L Carriers.
Yes, it's a trucking
New
company,
Orleans
I believe.
Bowl.
Yeah.
All right, they're playing in a bowl in New Orleans, and it's South Alabama versus Western Kentucky. The pick is going to be South Alabama money line and the under of 57.5.
They really know how to get the TV viewers down there in the New Orleans Bowl.
The New Orleans Bowls. Hey, I mean, if you're gonna be shipping and freighting, you got to use R&L. See, the people love R&L.
That you just talked to me about a bowl game in which would not get me to turn off Hulu and the reruns of Modern Family I've been watching.
We're watching The Office. Should I watch Modern Family?
Well, yes, but my point being that these shows that we've all seen 100 times, probably still leaning there instead of South Alabama and Western Kentucky.
That's your problem.
That it is.
I'm betting money on it tonight, and I got I got a parlay of the under 57.5. It's South Alabama on the money line, and that's your points bet pick or their DraftKings pick of the week. Can't believe I said that. Presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook. Download the app today and use promo code CHGO when you sign up. Again, DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook with the DraftKings pick of the week. And then we got to let you know about Chi-Town Cornhole. Chi-Town Custom Cornhole, the #1 cornhole provider for Chicagoland and Illinois since 2007. Our signature box style design can be digitally printed, covered in vinyl, and painted. Our cornhole boards can come with built-in drink holders recessed in on the back, LED lights that light up the hole, and exterior handles for easy carrying and handcrafted scorekeepers. Veteran-owned and operated as well, and they can ship anywhere and offer local pickups. So they specialize in corporate designs for your company's next design or social event, wedding gifts, and gifts for all occasions, and especially for tailgaters and backyard barbecues. So check out their website at ChiTownCornhole.com and make sure to follow them on Instagram at ChiTown Custom Cornhole Boards. Can't believe I screwed up that DraftKings ad. Feel pretty stupid. Said the wrong brand.
It's fine.
Not me. Is it?
All right.
Is it? All right.
It's understood.
What'd you say? Anyways. It's not really all right. It's all right, but it's not. Let's wrap this up.
You're going to go to jail tonight, Sean. Sorry. You're messing up reads.
Penalty box.
Got to go to jail.
Yeah, it's like we're recording a remote show, and we hear all the sirens outside your apartment.
Hey, man. My bad opinions get people attention, especially the cops. I live by a bunch of hospitals / older people's homes, and so there's a lot of ambulance around my house.
As we can tell when you're recording.
Constantly. And by now, I just zone it out. It's been there for 2 years.
Does this make the Mets World Series favorites? Have they bought themselves a World Series title? I guess that's where we'll end on this because, $500 million is a lot of money.
I don't think it even gives them the clear-cut, I'm the NL East division champions. They might be the favorites, but when the season starts, you tell me that Phillies staff and that Phillies offense can't compete with that Mets one. They can compete with them. They're just as good. Maybe they don't spend as much money, but Wheeler's pretty good.
Spent a lot of money.
Yeah, at the top of that rotation is good. They just got Trey Turner. Their offense is pretty damn good too. So it's good to spend money, and I'm not begrudging them spending money. I love it, but there's no guarantees of success with all this money spent that they have, and I would rather be on that side than the other side, but there's no guarantees of, and that's why most owners don't do this, because if it guaranteed a championship, all of them would do it.
I'll tell you one thing, I can't wait for that half of the Major League Baseball playoff bracket, because there are 5 teams in the National League that I think are right even with each other.
Dodgers, Braves, Phillies, Mets,
Padres.
Okay.
Those 5 teams, and again, you could rank them certainly. You know what I mean? You could say, "Oh, I think this one's better than this one. I think this one." But those 5 teams, they are all in. They are very good, and I just it's fun to watch when you've got that sort of dogfight. I mean, the National League East is going to be a dogfight the entire season.
And that's why I thought the Cardinals should have been in on Rodon, because I thought that would have fleshed out their rotation a little bit more, because that lineup, I think, could be competitive, at least with the Padres. And there you go. You have 6 teams right there for your playoffs.
Well, they'll win that division.
Right, but the Cardinals could have made that even more competitive, I think. They could have been that 6th head in the 6-headed monster.
But as we spoke about earlier, they're not really in the huge acquisition of free agents. They're not in the $100 million acquiring of Carlos Rodon. They're more trading for the Arenados and the Goldschmidts, who already have a good salary assigned to them. So
and Mike Leake to $85 million.
Exactly. Ugh, that guy. And Dexter Fowler for wherever they signed him for. But they're not in the big-time free agent market because they act like they're a small market, which they are. But
they get the draft picks.
They get all the stadium's full every day. They should be up there with the big boys spending too.
And someone brought it up in the chat too. Those 5 teams in the National League, are going to make for great entertainment, and none of them might be better than the Astros.
Yeah, right.
This might be fait accompli.
Yeah, and that's the fun part about baseball is just it's a marathon, and we've seen this with the Braves. They won a World Series without Ronald Acuna. If you asked any Braves fan if that happened, or at the point that happened, will you guys win the World Series? They probably would have said hell no. And that's the ride that you can go on. So we'll see where baseball continues to take us in the rest of 2022 and 2023. I don't want to say it's over because, hey, what if, They announce another press conference. He opts out, and then he's a Twin. We never know.
Maybe he just keeps bouncing around.
Right.
The rest of the,
Just signs
the
with
rest of the
all the teams.
offseason. Yeah.
He'll end up in Japan probably at this point. But thank you for watching. That's Vinnie Duber. You can follow him on Twitter at Vinnie Duber. He's our CHGO White Sox beat writer. That's Herb Lawrence. You can follow him on Twitter at Ecknerwall23. He's our CHGO White Sox community leader. And I'm Sean Anderson. You can follow me on Twitter at Sean_W_Anderson. And Vinny does have a brand new post on allchgo.com as well, talking about this Mets situation and if the White Sox and Mets can link up. But that will do it. Thank you to Sarah for producing the show, and we will be with you tomorrow for a remote version of the CHGO White Sox podcast. Go Sox.